This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy.
Ça devait être relou comme job, tu sais, taper sur J.
Something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong.
Ok.
Shocked,
Donc en gros tout le monde a disparu, il faudra trouver pourquoi.
Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Alors, c'est du QWERTY. Hop, voilà. Qu'est-ce qu'on peut faire? C'est marrant parce que quand je spam E, on fait comme si j'appuie sur des touches de clavier, mais en fait il fait que dalle. On peut rien faire. Hein. Je vais baisser un peu la sensi. Est-ce qu'on peut aller dans les autres bureaux? Non.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Meeting room. J'essaie de check.
No matter how hard Stanley
Oh, j'ai été à l'ordi.
he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Ah, c'est ça, en gros, c'est ouais, c'est comme le même délire que Portal. En gros, tu dois suivre les instructions qu'il te dit à l'écran. Et si tu fais un pas de travers, en gros, il te rappelle que comme quoi, bah... Fais taper sur les doigts, quoi. Attends, on va essayer de trouver un autre truc. Ok, là, comme par hasard, il dit rien. J'éteins tous les ordi, bah les couilles. L'électricité, c'est trop cher.
Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference. Nor did it
regarde. Comme quoi, ça fait pas avancer l'histoire, tout ce que je fais. Ok, alors, c'est bon, j'ai compris, je vais y aller à ton truc, là.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Le gars, en gros, là, il me dit de prendre celle de gauche. Bah, je vais prendre celle de droite, il va pas aimer.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee.
En gros, c'est soit tu fais ce qu'on te dit, en gros, tu suis les ordres, ou soit bah, tu suis ta propre conscience et tu fais ce que tu veux, quoi.
Ah, yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in.
Non, moi je vais faire des trucs. Je vais faire un coca. Eh, hey, t'as pas dit coca.
Yes, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Franchir la première porte sur sa gauche, bah non. Bon. Moi j'aime pas suivre les ordres de quelqu'un.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Ouais, mais voilà, j'ai suivi des instructions depuis tant d'années, j'ai envie de prendre mes propres décisions, tu vois. C'est peut-être pas forcément les meilleures. Hein. Vas-y, YOLO, quoi.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps
Après, je suis
we've
l'entrepôt
gotten
de
off on
ouf.
the wrong foot here.
Oh putain, on peut tomber.
I'm not your enemy.
On va éviter de tomber, hein.
I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please. What? Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why?
Non, parce qu'il ferme toujours la porte derrière soi.
This, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it.
Je fais tout le contraire de ce qu'il me demande. Bas les couilles, quoi.
Give me a chance.
Ah!
Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door.
C'était quoi le truc dans Matrix entre la pilule rouge et la pilule bleue? Je crois la pilule rouge, tu pars... Enfin, ça te montre la vérité avec la matrice, et la pilule bleue, tu restes dans ton monde. Ou un truc dans le genre. C'était un truc dans le genre. Bon, allez, on va suivre...
Oh, thank God you are willing to listen to me. Do you see that I really have wanted you to be happy all this time?
Prends la bleue. Ah
The
bah, trop
problem is
tard.
always choices. The two of us always trying to get somewhere that
J'ai
isn't
l'impression que ça fait
here.
un tour, on va retourner.
Running and running and running, just the way you're doing right now.
Mais...
Don't you see that it's killing us, Stanley? I wanted to stop.
Frérot, il m'a...
We would both be so much happier if we just...
Oh, le bâtard, il m'a emmené dans un piège.
And I think I have a solution. Here, let me show you. What do we want? What are we looking for?
Je suis parti où?
Here. Yes. Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it? If we just stay right here, right... No, wait. Where are you going? Right. Where were we?
Je sais pas. À ce moment précis, il disait... Il n'y a rien d'autre. On va voir quoi, là? Tu veux me faire engloutir ou... Ça me pète les yeux, c'est... Ouais, vas-y, je me casse. Ouais, on se casse, hein. C'est bon. Au bout d'un moment...
Oh no! Stay away from those stairs. If you hurt yourself, if you die, the game will reset. We'll lose all of this.
Si on meurt, le jeu redémarre. Genre, il va péter l'escalier ou...
Please, no, Stanley, let me stay here. Don't take this from me.
Ah, mais...
Please, Stanley, think about what you're doing.
Moi, j'ai pas envie de me suicider, wesh. Mais au final, je suis bloqué, là. Parce que soit je regarde sa merde, soit je saute d'en haut. On peut même pas sauter. Ah, il y a un truc, là. Un petit dessin. Il se passe quoi, là?
Good, good. We can't be too safe. Promise me you won't
pas
go
sauter,
back
là.
there. Just stay here.
Non, mais je vais pas rester indéfiniment ici, gros, frérot. Chiant ton truc, là. Parce que là, je peux même pas repartir sur mes pas. Hein. Je suis vraiment bloqué soit ici, à attendre, ou soit là-bas à sauter. C'est de la merde ton truc, là. Dis-moi partir. Ah ouais, mais on a été habitué à suivre des instructions, là. C'est bon, vas-y, moi je vais... Tant pis.
No. What do we talk about? You're risking everything we achieved here.
On n'a rien construit, gros.
You heard me before, didn't you? You will die. What about this isn't getting through to you?
Peut-être ça se trouve, il ment, on va pas mourir, hein. Peut-être on va juste traverser le sol.
No! Oh, thank God you lived. No, what are you doing, Stanley? Please, I'm asking you not to take this away from me. I can't go back to what I was before. If you die, we'll both go back. Why are you doing this?
On peut même pas mourir.
Let's go back to the other
Putain!
room. Can you do that for me? Yes, perhaps you can.
Oh, ça va
Perhaps
être
you
long.
finally see what I'm talking about.
Ah, il fait tout noir.
I know you'll see that we can't be happy if
Oh, ça va
we
être long.
leave this place. You can see that, can't you?
J'ai pas d'autre sortie. Laissez-moi partir. Je sais pas ce qu'il faut faire du coup. Par contre, je cours pas, hein, je marche là. Ça se trouve, faut peut-être faire une troisième fois. Pour que je die. Je te dirai sur ton boucle, ouais, bah je pense, hein, parce que regarde, je cours de moins en moins vite en fait.
That you'll throw yourself from this platform over and over to be rid of it? You are literally willing to kill yourself to keep me from being happy. Am I reading the situation correctly? Or maybe you're just getting a kick out of it.
Bah après, je sais pas, je
I just wanted us to get along.
cours plus, mais j'ai pas l'impression de mourir.
It looks like you wanted to make a choice after all. Well, this one is yours.
À moins que j'appuie sur une touche pour plus courir, mais...
Is it open?
Ah!
It's going to restart.
Bah voilà!
I'm going back.
Ah d'accord, on vient là.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting.
Alors est-ce que ça recommence dans... Fais tout ce qu'il te dit. Vas-y, on va faire tout ce qu'il me dit, ouais, vas-y.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Je vais suivre comme un petit pantin, hein.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Après, le bureau du chef. Ouais, c'est bien ici, putain. Ah non, c'est... Pour être riche, est-ce un crime? Pour commettre un crime, cela ne nous rend pas riches. Allez, moi j'y vais. Hein. C'est où le bureau? C'est là? Ouah, le bureau! On dirait le bureau de...
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code.
Monsieur Bern, ouais, voilà.
Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Oh. Je sais pas où on va, mais on y va. Hein. Je suis les instructions. Je regarde s'il n'y a pas des petits trucs cachés. On avance, on avance.
Into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
Wesh, ça me pète aux pieds.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door
Mind
that read
control
Mind
facility.
Control Facility.
Bonjour. Oula, on arrive dans le cérébro là.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible
C'est là,
secret
toutes
did
les
this
télés
place
encore dans
hold?
Matrix ça.
Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
résoudre un mystère. Mystère boule de gomme.
Now the monitors jump to life.
On se faisait surveiller,
Each
Zubi.
bore the number of an employee in the building.
Ah, j'ai pas regardé le 124 où est-ce qu'il était.
The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them.
J'ai pas regardé où est-ce qu'il était le 124. Ah, attends. 124 là, il est là. Eh, y'a mon bureau là, en face.
This mind control facility, it was
vraiment là, ça te montre aussi comment on est des pions en fait dans la vie active.
Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
Attendez, je regarde deux messages en même temps.
No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world?
Ah bah non, on est déjà arrivé, c'est bon.
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, looking, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of its past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Pas allumé. Deux. Sur quel bouton il faut appuyer? Je vais aller voir là-bas. Ah, il y a un bouton blanc là. Ah, peut-être trouver les numéros avant quoi. Là, il y en a 3. Ah. 2. Le 3 il est là. Le 4 je sais pas où il est. Where is le 4? Ah mais il est peut-être là au milieu là. Il y a un gros panneau qui éclaire blanc. C'est peut-être là. Non. En haut, tu en as en haut. Ah ouais là. Bien vu. Oh mais c'est fermé. Je vois rien, ce bip, ting. Bon, peut-être c'est pas maintenant, peut-être les numéros. On va aller voir là-bas. System power, bah voilà.
When at last he found the source of the... Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control?
Off.
Oh, Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation.
Ça va péter à haut.
In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are said to explode, eliminating the entire complex.
Holy shit!
How long until detonation then? Let's say 2 minutes. Ah, now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes
Putain,
off.
putain,
But
putain.
what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going, what all this means. I barely know where to start. What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are?
Ah,
A moment
super.
of solace before you're obliterated. All right.
Reste
I'm in a good
Anniké,
mood.
tous une
You're gonna
power
die.
surcharge.
I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I
2.
erased them.
Pourquoi il y a 2
Turned
là
off the
partout?
machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I
bouton
tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons
3,
endlessly
alors
and then
était là-bas.
dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground,
Ça va
swallowing
péter.
everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this.
Ça fait rien le
This
bouton du
version
putain.
of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever
4.
I come up
J'ai
with
pas
on
le
the next
4.
go around
Le
will
4 est en
be
haut.
even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much.
C'est la
You know
merde.
what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra
Le 4
time
est en
on
haut,
the
je peux pas.
clock
Ah
right
si, c'est ouvert, putain.
These are
Non.
precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time
Ah, il
doesn't
m'a ajouté
grow
du
on
temps, c'est gentil.
trees. Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just
Vite.
assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. Running from button to button,
Incorrect.
screen to screen,
Putain.
clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones. Or maybe this big red button, or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game
Appuie sur
can
le
be
2.
beaten? One solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is?
Ah, correct. 1.
Stanley, you're in for quite a disappointment. But here's a
Dis
spoiler.
Bangui,
for
mon
you.
verre.
That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless. To see you made humble. This is not a challenge. It's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's fine.
Comprends
But
pas,
I'm going to destroy
comprends
it
pas.
first, so you can't.
Comprends pas ce qu'il faut faire avec les numéros.
That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No ending here. Just you being blown to pieces. Will you
Goodbye, employé
desperately for
427,
your fellow
mais...
life, or will you let it go peacefully? Another
Le
choice.
bâtard, je peux plus rien faire.
Or don't. It's all the same to me. All a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your
À nous la mort,
life,
salut,
the
bande de
moment you
nazes.
fade in, until the moment I say happily ever after.
Wow, putain l'explosion. Ah, puis on va recommencer depuis le début. Ça va être chiant.
All of his co-workers were gone.
Putain, j'étais un...
Stanley
J'ai
decided to
trompé de
go to the
truc
meeting
là.
room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Je vais connaître le chemin par cœur.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open
Ah là,
doors,
j'appuie sur
he
off. Hein.
entered the door on his left.
En fait, le moindre écart que tu fais, ça part en
Yet
cacahuète.
there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief,
C'était quoi déjà le mot de passe de
Stanley decided to go up to
1845,
his
je crois?
boss. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
On va faire un speedrun.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the
Ah, t'es
narrator
pensé qu'il laisse pas
talk.
une minute pour...
That
On a un temps pour
anxiety
parler.
wasn't easy, so he relaxed for a few moments with some calming new age music.
Oh le bâtard, on peut même pas speedrun le jeu. Oh, ah, ils ont tout prévu les enfoirés.
Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
Ah, ça aurait été marrant qu'ils donnent pas le même passage. Putain, le pire c'est que j'étais v'là loin. En fait, ça se trouve, le jeu dure pas longtemps, mais à chaque fois que tu te trompes, en fait, tu recommences de zéro. Du coup, tu dois recommencer tout le chemin. Ah, ça va, ils sont gentils, ils m'ont mis un loading. Ou il y en avait déjà un.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death.
Si je remeurs, je rigole.
The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track.
Si je remeurs, je
Stanley
rigole.
was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly.
Par contre, le chemin, il fait 30 km ou... Oula. Je sais pas où on est arrivé là. Oh putain, on va se faire écraser.
Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real
Ah bah c'est encore la fin pour nous.
trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. And so he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
Bah salut, hein, allez on recommence.
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
Oh putain, je suis pas mort. Stanley Parable.
Just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish? When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now?
Quoi?
Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
Quoi? Mais en fait, c'est un chemin prédéfini à chaque fois. Plan du bureau. Ce plan vous montre le bureau au début de la partie. Le chemin entre le bureau de Stanley Du Bureau, le tout premier chemin conçu dans le jeu. Des sections ont été ajoutées et modifiées au cours du développement, mais l'organisation générale est restée presque inchangée depuis la première itération. Mais wesh, en fait depuis le début. Donc là c'est là où il y a les deux portes. Ça c'est notre bureau. Notre petit bureau, c'est le bureau. Ok. Son des boutons. Une section de boutons entendus dans le jeu à chaque utilisation d'un bouton. Attends, on est déjà dans le Ultra Deluxe, là? On est plus dans le jeu, là. Remerciements. Oh, bah oui, on a déjà fini le jeu ou... Ça se passe comment? Ordinateur de bureau. Armoire de rangement. C'est quoi ça? Ordinateur de Stanley, trop bien. Tableau de paysage. Nickel. À gauche ou à droite? Ou ça, en fait, ça a l'air d'être un musée ici, en fait. Le bureau. Salle de maintenance. L'une des premières versions de la salle de maintenance. En fait, on dirait la fin du jeu, mais en version musée pour te montrer en gros toutes les versions qu'il y a eu. Zone de guerre. Bah attends, ça l'a pas fait ça. Au début du développement, nous avons imaginé une fin où Stanley se retrouvait sur un champ de bataille contre des extraterrestres. Le jeu développait sa propre intelligence et partirait en guerre contre le narrateur. Nous avons réalisé peu après que c'était poussé la blague trop loin et que c'était peut-être trop plat par rapport au ton du jeu. Certains l'ont aussi vu comme une manière de nous moquer des amateurs de jeux de tir, ce qui n'était pas notre but. Bah super, bah bravo quoi. Email du narrateur. Après la deuxième bande-annonce que nous avons publiée, nous avons demandé aux gens d'envoyer des questions par email au narrateur. Nous comptions nous en servir pour promouvoir encore le jeu, mais nous n'avons jamais trouvé vraiment comment les exploiter. Voici une sélection de ces emails. Ah, j'ai eu le numéro de téléphone. Tu ma place, numéro. Le bureau, ça c'est les téléphones. La salle de pause. Donc ça c'était la belle salle au début. Le minuteur de l'appartement. Dans l'une des premières versions du choix menant à la fin de l'appartement, un minuteur vous laissez 15 secondes pour décrocher le téléphone. Ne pas décrocher le téléphone mener à une autre fin. D'accord. Ça on n'a pas d'appartement non. Oh, je vais me perdre en fait ici, laisse tomber. Salle de réunion, maintenance. En gros là ça te donnait toutes les possibilités de partir du truc. Je vais me perdre dans le musée. C'est beau aussi. Levier de la fin relaxante. Ce levier se trouvait dans la fin relaxante. Le joueur devait actionner un levier et le narrateur décrivait la couleur du levier choisi. En fait, il y a des trucs qu'on n'a pas vus. On a... Oh, je suis de ouf. Menu échappe. Ça ressemble pas vraiment au même. Pendant longtemps, nous avons une fin qui nous finissait vraiment que lorsque le joueur recommençait depuis le menu échappe. Malheureusement, beaucoup de joueurs ont compris ce qu'il pardon, qu'est-ce qu'ils devaient faire, ce qui s'est révélé frustrant par tout le monde. Frérot, je me suis perdu, gros. Ah là-bas.
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free.
On recommence à zéro?
Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another? No, perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen. Listen to me.
Non, on va
You
mourir!
can still save these two. You can stop the program before they both fail. Push escape and press quit. There's no other way to beat this game. As long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone else's path. Stop now and it'll be your only true choice. Whatever you do,
En gros, ça, limite, ça nous force de quitter le jeu. Ça nous force limite à quitter le jeu, quoi. Écoute, on va aller jusqu'à la fin. On va faire off. Puis on verra ce que ça dit. Allez, on recommence. C'est parti.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
C'est un peu prise de tête, hein, du coup. Encore une fois, ce qui est bien, c'est que je connais le chemin.
Set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
On va appuyer sur le bouton off. Attends, il y avait quoi là-bas? L'ascenseur. Non, on va aller continuer là-bas. Hein. Moi j'ai envie de voir la fin. Ah, peut-être ça se trouve, il y a plusieurs fins.
Okay, I think we all know the drill by now. Blah blah blah. Dark secrets, the keypad. Stanley pushes.
D'accord.
Oh, hey, look, it's a new passageway.
Même le narrateur il s'en bat les couilles, il passe les trucs. Je suis mort. Il n'y a plus le temps de narrateur. Il s'en bat les reins quoi. Bla bla bla. On ouvre la porte. Tu peux me faire spawner directement devant le bouton, ça m'arrangerait hein. Ah non, ça va te faire foutre.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Je sais pas comment tu peux trouver la fin du jeu, frérot. Dès que tu te détournes sur un autre passage, tu meurs. Donc en gros, faut juste suivre le passage.
The monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
On va aller jusqu'au bouton, on va appuyer sur off. On verra ce que ça fait.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
C'est marrant parce que là il fait plus blablabla.
No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof, the heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terror. Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's
Je sais pas, ça pue l'arnaque, hein. Ça peut pas aider le
moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone?
Ça a l'air d'être le jour. À moins que c'est un fake. Dès qu'on pousse la porte à se refermer, je meurs.
Did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him. For it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness.
Oh, mais 30 ans à s'ouvrir la porte, je sais pas, ça pue l'arnaque. Genre, tu sais, genre, elle reste ouverte jusque là, puis je peux pas passer.
What to do or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing.
Je sais pas, ça pue l'arnaque.
Stanley stepped.
Ça se trouve, c'est un faux paysage. Il y aura un vieux mur invisible, il va dire, eh ben non, c'est pas fini.
Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin. The feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
Et il se réveilla devant son bureau. C'est une blague. Bah, je pense qu'on a fait une fin. Mais en gros, ça nous respawn ici pour faire les autres fins, quoi. Et je pense qu'on... Ouais, sur toutes les fins. Ouais, je pense que c'est une des fins. Je pense que c'est la fin la plus heureuse, celle-là. Après, peut-être j'avais déjà fait une autre fin. Tout à l'heure, quand je me suis fait écraser, là. Ça se trouve, c'était une fin aussi, ça, je sais pas.